All right, guys, this video is on direct versus, I better write that bigger. You guys are kind of far away, sorry. Let's write that bigger. Direct versus indirect reward. All right? Now, what this is food that they can see, and indirect is food they cannot see. Okay? Food they can see, food they cannot see. So most of the time when I'm training in the training room, if you guys are doing private lessons with me, you'll see I have a great big treat pouch full of food, okay? I have 1 hour with you guys to get my point across to this dog. I need him to understand that currently when you're in this room, reward is on the table, here it is. A lot of the time, if I'm gonna go and work my dog through a pretty big lesson, we're gonna have to start the lesson, end the lesson, there's gonna be a big treat pouch right there on my hip because I want him to understand, I need your attention, it's time to eat, all right? Now, what you'll find though, if you continue along that path, is that the dog will say, will look at your body and go, no treat pouch, no work. I'm not working for you, I don't see any food. That's when you start to hide the food, all right? That's what we call indirect reward, okay? That's when we hide the food on us. We keep it in a hoodie, we keep it in our pockets. I really like pockets up here on the chest or arm because then they're not smelling it. It's hidden kind of up on my upper body. Another thing that I like to do that falls under the category of indirect food is I'll put the food on a table right over here, all right? So let's say that I'm teaching a place command. The dog gets on here. I don't have any food on my body. I mark it. I go, oh, you did the behavior, lovely. Grab, without moving my body at all, just my arm. I'm looking at the dog, I reach over, grab the food and give it to the dog. And he then learns, so even though the food's not on his body, he can still give it to me. It's just on the table right there. Okay, so I gets on the bed, oh, yes, good job. Grab the food, give it to him. Okay, and that stage has to be done thoroughly. They have to understand thoroughly that the food doesn't necessarily have to be on my body for them to get it. And in that stage of the training, I have to be literally right next to the counter that has the food on. If the food is 5 steps that a ways, this dog is gonna break the command by the time I'm able to get to that food. And so we do this, let's say for 3 or 4 days where I'm working him on a bed and just grabbing the food that's just off to my left or my right and giving it to him. Okay, well then let's move into day 4, day 5, day 6, depending on how smart this pup is, all right? And now I'm over here and there's a bed. I get the dog on the place command. I say, oh, you've done it. Now you get your food. And I take 1 small step over to get this food and then give it to the dog. That little step is motion, and that's gonna, you know, the dog is gonna wanna get off the bed and follow your motion. And that's why the first stage that we talked about just a second ago has to be done super thorough to where he realizes, oh, I should stay right here. He's just going to get that treat and then he's gonna give it to me. And then you want to space this bed countertop span out 1 foot at a time moving forward. So you're in the 2nd week of training. Now your countertop is 3 feet away from the bed, okay? Towards the end of that 2nd week, your countertop is 4 feet away from that place bed. Whereas in week, you know, and you just go out 1 little foot at a time, not going too fast. If your dog breaks whenever you reach for that food, you went too fast, okay? And so, where you want to be is, let's say we're 5 weeks down the road of training this behavior, and now I can put the dog on command, mark, oh, you did great, come all the way over to the other side of the room, grab the treat, and go all the way over back to the dog and pay, all right? Now, ideally, why is this ideal? It's ideal because you guys aren't gonna always have food on you, but you're gonna convince the dog that food is always a possibility, okay? So never is it the case that I can't reinforce. This is what indirect pressure means, is that even though you don't see the food could still become available to you. And so We want to teach that dog that, you know, if you do a recall in from the backyard, I call you in, I can mark that behavior, and then we can head off to the cabinet where we keep the treats or the dog food and grab some and give it to him. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be super close and immediate. I could mark something and then go get the food out of the cheese drawer in the fridge and then still reinforce this dog. But in order to get that to work correctly, you do have to span it out little bitty increments like we've discussed, okay? Let me know if you guys have questions.